Alright, so in this video, we're going to be talking about Call of Duty World War II, the upcoming game. Now, we saw the trailer, we saw that it was a lot more well-received compared to its last game, which, again, everyone told you. Everyone was saying, yep, called it. You didn't fucking listen, but you fucking made it anyway, and now you're basically getting bit in the ass for it. You know, just something to mention. We get to now show off that pride because we were right all along, and you guys still ignored us, and look what happened. Anyway, so if I haven't mentioned this before in previous videos, one of the things that came up was a person's tweet to one of the members or staff members for the developer Sledgehammer Games, who is currently developing this game and this installment for Call of Duty. One of them said, "Is there going to be female multiplayer skins or character models available for the multiplayer on the game?" And he said, and I don't know if this was a joke or if this was serious, he said yes. Now, the reason that concerns me is not because I'm being sexist here. In fact, I could care less what person they put in there. Well, yeah, actually, yeah, I can. Or, yeah, I can tolerate it. But the thing is, this game's depicting World War II. Now, before I even mention this, I want to say this. I understand that every video game in the world, regardless what kind of war or conflict they're depicting, cannot get it 100% accurate. Not because they don't want to, but because they think, oh, that's too boring, or, oh, that's too complicated, and for our gamers, let's kind of dumb it down a bit, or let's just make it more cinematic, because no one's going to care about the minor details, right? Most of the time, people don't even notice it, unless, of course, you're a certain history fan. But even that person commonly misses stuff all the time. I'm one of those guys, and I didn't notice it until after watching a video about the guy who noticed a bunch of discrepancies in the actual trailer itself, like from the MG42's firing rate and its noise, and also mentioning that, you know, a lot of Allied soldiers actually put a lot of training into identifying weapons by sound if they could not see them. And there was according to the guy, he said, there's a reason why the MG42 was nicknamed Hitler's buzzsaw. Whatever that means. To the fact that the machine gun part on a Panzer IV tank was actually flipped. And I think it was also put on the back side of the tank, which also did not make sense because it's not there, obviously, but it doesn't make sense. The other thing I was a bit concerned, though, was... Well, actually, I first need to talk about this. So, we know women served in World War II. In fact, some of the most well-known nations out there to this day had women fight on the front lines during World War II. The former Soviet Union did. One of them became a well-known sniper, and she ended up being a major. She held the battlefield commission. She was a freaking officer. And she had, I think, 619 confirmed kills. Or something along that line. But, you know, given the fact that we only know of possibly just 2 multiplayer factions, which I kind of hope that they stop doing just 2. I'd like to see more, like maybe 4 or 6. I don't think that's asking too much, but I don't want to see just 2, because 2 is kind of boring and you never see any diversity anymore. But we currently only know of the U.S. Army and the Wehrmacht. Neither side had women serve on the front lines. like the Wehrmacht did, but only during the final days before they were eventually defeated by the Allies. And I'm talking like 1945 or around the time that American or Allied forces entered into German soil. Then they started having women fight on the front lines, but most of them fought on the home front, meaning they were in home and they were just part of the anti-aircraft guns and stuff, which, again, you're part of the war, but you're not leaving the comfort of your residence, really. Unless you're talking about the building itself, but I don't know, I'm dragging this on too much. One of the things they also mentioned was, or a rumor that was going around, was that someone thinks that they're going to censor swastikas or Nazi imagery in Call of Duty World War II. Which I honestly hope isn't the case, because I'm not, for the record, I'm not promoting anti-Semitic views. I'm not trying to say the Nazis were great people, because they weren't. They killed 6 million people who should not have been killed, but were because they were considered unwanted, which is bullshit. But it happened. But their reasoning for it kind of sucks. Or at least that's what, according to this person who is now been deemed a, quote, reliable source. But I would not be surprised if they did this, given the fact that they did it in Black Ops 3, which still does not sit well with me. And I can't imagine why they did it. So, this is where I kind of get a little heated about this. Because history, to me, is one of the most important subjects out of all the things you can learn at any kind of school. And that's because if you decide to either alter history, change or that was a bit redundant, or basically ignore history, you're destined to repeat it. Whether it's bad history, like say, if you found out that Hitler was a bad dude and he's like, I don't want to know about him anymore. How do you know you're not going to end up like him? You've shut yourself off from the rest of the world, you're bound to fail. And the other thing is that, as far as like countries go, I can understand it if certain laws in the country say, yeah, that's illegal and that is not okay. Like Germany, for instance. You cannot have any game depicting the Nazi flag in their versions of the game. But oddly enough, their films can get away with it. I mean, granted, it is a film, but if films can get past that loophole, why can't video games? But normally, for most of the earlier installments, US versions and all the other versions that didn't have the crazy censorship laws were allowed to actually depict the swastika. But they weren't promoting Nazism, nor were they promoting anti-Semitic views. They were just trying to get the game historically accurate as best as they possibly can. Yet, there's some kind of fragile little boy out there, or fragile little girl, who says, oh, I'm offended by that. So then don't play it. I mean, you're not being forced to buy this game. If you don't want it, don't buy it. But I mean, like, that's a stupid reason to censor a symbol, given the fact that the symbol was also was used for good things before it ended up in the hands of the Nazis. And I really don't think we should be whitewashing or altering history because of that. Which also brought me up to another topic, because I think the news source was Polygon News. They accused the developers for being sexist and whitewashing history, for whatever that means. But they said that because they were also, and they also said they were racist too, because there were only 3 white guys during their live stream, which is also kind of stupid because I, I, it's so stupid. I don't even have ways to describe it. I can just say that it was just like this face, like, what the hell are you thinking? But it happens. Why it happens, that's all up to them. I really don't know. But yeah, we can't just change it like that, because if you change it, then it defeats the purpose of actually playing it the way it's supposed to be played. I don't want them to ruin this game, because this actually is a game that I look forward to getting, but I don't want it to basically get destroyed and dumped on because they basically said, oh, nope, we're going to change it last minute. No, you done fucked up now. Wasn't supposed to happen, but you did it anyway. I'm just going to close my eyes for the rest of this because I'm really tired. But, you know, that's how the story goes, and people tend to not listen, and then they end up getting hurt, or they ended up costing them because they did not listen to reason, which happens more than once on occasion, even for me, so I'm not completely perfect here, nor did I say I was. But that's the big issue. The other issue, going back to the first one, I forgot to mention this. So, if they're going to put a female character model, it has to match a certain faction where it would make the most sense to put it in. Like, say, the Dutch Resistance, the Russian Army, which is not going to happen, probably. What do you call it? The Maquis French, which are a group of resistance fighters. Or, well, actually, I think that's about it. But, yeah, if they put character classes where you become a female, or a woman, I should say, to make it sound more, or less offensive to some people for whatever reason, I want it to work. Like, as long as it's appropriate for the said faction that they're a part of, I have no problems. However, if, let's say, you put that person in a U.S. Army uniform and now they're fighting on the front lines, and their reasoning for it is, oh, it's 2017, we've moved on. No, you can't use that as an excuse. You're basing a game off of an event that happened 70-some years ago. You can't just alter it just so you can be inclusive to other groups or make it feel more hip with the fucking groups that you're intending for people to buy. Like, this is probably going to be a bad idea, but I'm just going to use this as an example. And don't take this and say that, oh, I'm against these people now. I will say this, it's not my preference, but it's also none of my business what people are into and what they are not into. And as long as they're not hurting anybody, nor, like, transmitting any kind of diseases that should not be transmitted, I don't give a fuck. Literally. Like, for instance, if they put a transgender person or make a transgender character in World War II, not only is that technology for that kind of surgery is not even available at the time, but it would also kind of seem rather insulting for those people who actually did fight and die in said battles and said wars. And this game is actually kind of supposed to be like a tribute to them without actually mentioning most of their names. Like, change it, like, you know, when people say, oh, these events are based on true stories, some names had to be changed to protect the innocent, sort of thing. Yeah, that can actually happen. Like, it's happened multiple times throughout the franchise, too. You've had many real characters based on real-life people. JFK, Nixon, McNamara, Castro. And I just mentioned all the guys that are dead now. Holy crap. I completely forgot that Castro died. And a bunch of other world leaders and whatnot. But, you know, it's stupid. Like, you can't just do that. You can't be inclusive just because you want it to be. This game is a tribute to real people. Don't change it because you say, oh, it's 2017 and it's gotta be politically correct. Fuck that. I mean, the whole reason, like, most history isn't supposed to be pretty. History is supposed to just teach you of the mistakes we've made and the successes we've had. It's not meant to just say, okay, that's the thing, moving on. No, you have to actually kind of look at it and understand what it's about, because if it ends up being like something like, oh, this is what happens when you commit mass genocide or whatever, can't ignore it just because you don't like it. Half the things that I read in history I don't like, but I read it because I don't want to just basically see it destroyed because someone out there is too overly sensitive and can't look at a simple, stupid image. Which I think is fucking dumb because, you know what? It's stupid. It's stupid. It's really stupid. And I really hope they don't screw this up because I don't want this game to fail. I really need this to win, be a success. I need this to be a hit with COD. We need to make COD great again. Yes, I pulled that joke right out my asshole. Take it. I don't care how bad you guys think. I just kind of throwing random stuff out there because I don't really care at this point. And if I lose subscribers, fine. I've told you guys again, time after time, I'm not forcing anyone to subscribe to this channel, nor is everyone else. I'm not even asking for followers. I'm just kind of making a video archive of all the stuff that I've actually played, so that way I can say, yep, I did it, and here's my proof that I did it, sort of thing, because that used to be how you got achievements back in the 80s and stuff, before they even had trophies show up on your screen and whatnot. Anyway, I better end this episode because it's already gone long enough, and I'm really tired, and I'm worried the battery's gonna die. So I'm gonna just turn my camera around, just kind of see what's on the. Yep, we're good. So yeah, okay, I'm Alex Mason, and I'll see you guys with whatever video comes your way. Bye.